Guys, go ahead and plug that and just use X instead of T. That's fine. Plug that in your in the Desmos, please. Is that equals? I don't want that. Plus. Plus 2. Okay, has everybody got that? What?
Mine's just a straight line.
Then you didn't square it.
No, you have to scroll up. Like zoom out.
Well, you shouldn't look like a straight line.
Yeah, they're not straight either.
Did you put that in? You didn't get this?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how high did the ball go? How do I get that? Don't I click here? What is that? How high did the ball go? 58.25 feet. How long did it take to reach that height? How many seconds, guys? About 1.88 seconds. Okay. 1.9 seconds. All right. Is everybody good with that? Is everybody good with that? Now, here's the question though. It says, how many seconds was the ball above 40 feet? Okay, do you guys remember how we did this yesterday? An easy way to get 40 involved here. What does the X or the Y have to do with the height? The X or Y values? Y. So guys, let's put in this. Right? Put in Y equals 40. Right here. Here's the measurements or the time it took to get to 40 and it stayed above 40. What do we do with these two times? It took 0.80 or 81 seconds to get to 40 feet, right? When did it cross to 40? After what? So what do I do with those times? Subtract them. That'll tell you how many seconds the ball was above 40 feet or around 40 feet. So what'd you get? It's almost 2.1, right? So about 2.1 seconds that ball was above 40 feet. Seems like a long time. Okay. Does that make sense how to get that? Everybody good? All right, good. What did I do?
Yes.
Right there. There they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Guys, you're gonna need go ahead and put your computers away. You're gonna need your calculator devices. I want you to tell me everything you know about the square root of 36. Who's going to start? Go ahead.
6 times 6 is is 36.
So you're telling me the square root of, pass those orange things over to Matt, please. You're telling me what's that telling me though? I agree 6 times 6 is 36, but what does that do with the square root of 36?
It equals to 36.
What does?
The 6 times 6.
I agree, so what's that do with the square root of 36? I'm not disagreeing with you, 6 times 6 is 36. So what are you telling me about the square root of 36 then? Can somebody help him? Yes. The square root of 36 is 6. Okay? Now, I half agree with that. Is 6 times 6 the only number I can multiply it together by itself that equals 36? What do you guys think? 6 times 6 is 36. So the square root of 36 is 6, but there's also another number. What is it? It's negative 6. Okay? So do you remember what we said when we did this problem? So if we had this, do you remember what we wrote? Remember, Bailey?
Is it plus or minus?
Plus or minus 6. That's important today. Okay, you might want to write that somewhere on the notes up there, just so you remember. Just so you remember. Okay, so now we're going to solve quadratics, which are parabolas using square roots today. That's what our goal was. And I think the best way, I already talked about, kind of already talked about right here. The square root is plus or minus, right? All right, so let's just go right into the first example. All right. Now, do you guys remember how to get square roots on your calculator? You hit second button, then what?
X squared.
X squared. If you guys look at the X squared button, see the little square root symbol above there? So you get to that by going second and then hitting the X squared button. All right. So go ahead and, if you don't know, go ahead and, well, okay, I jumped ahead of myself. How do I get, what times what is X squared?
X times X.
Does everybody agree X times X is X squared? Well, how do I get rid of that and just get X? What's the opposite of squaring? We already talked about it. No, it's not dividing. It's taking the what? Okay? Now, when that happens, guys, I get X by itself. It cancels it out. Because what's the square root of X squared? X. Okay, now, what's the square root of 121? Yes and no. I want both answers. It's positive and negative 11. So that has two answers. Okay? Now, look at B. We have to do a little more work here to get to X squared equals something. Okay? What's my first step in solving B? Does anybody have any idea? What do you think, Jonathan?
Move the negative 27 to the other side.
Yeah, how do you do that? Good job.
Plus 27.
Plus 27 to both sides. Nice job. Okay? Now, am I ready to square root yet? No. Alexis, why not? No. No, what's in front of the x? How do I get rid of that 3? Isn't it 3 times x squared? So how do I get rid of it? Divided by 3 on both sides. Now I get where I started the other problem. X squared equals what? 9. 9 times, Mrs. Bueller. Now what do we do? Now we're ready to do what, Mary? How do I get x squared by itself to get x equals? Square root, and what I do to one side, do the other. Okay, that cancels. X equals.
3.
Yes.
And negative.
What's the negative?
Positive and negative 3. Yes. Yes, yes. Did you want to add anything, Mr. Westfall?
Nope.
Okay, why don't you guys try this one? It's just like we did the last one. Oh, there could be decimals. Son of a mother hen or mother goat. Matt, you know what I'm saying.
Mary, you going home early today?
Oh, hey, Mary, listen. On behalf of the administration and the teaching staff, thank you for coming on your birthday.
I have to be here till 8, so I can't leave.
Well, sure you could leave.
I'm still have to stay for a musical rehearsal.
Oh. Is it Beauty and the Beast?
Mhm.
What are you doing? Are you at?
I'm on stage for I'm a
Nice.
stage manager. So,
Nice. That's cool.
because I don't like being on the stage and acting.
I think in high school for 1 or 2 plays, I ran the spotlight in the back of the gym. I enjoy it. It's fun. Getting involved. All right. Does everybody agree add 49? Divide by 3.1 what? Was it 3.106?
I have 3.06.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go 3.0. Why don't we just go 3.1? That's fine. Now we're back to when we started A, right? Once I get to this point, what do? Now I square root. Not square root. And now, guys, these are going to be decimals. Let's round to hundredths place. Okay? Hundredths place. So x equals what? Logan, what'd you get? You didn't get it yet. Very nice. Hey, are you happy now that you got Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
How old is he now? 47?
I'm mad.
Seems like Russell Wilson's been playing seriously for 20 years in the NFL. He's got to be in his upper 30s, isn't he? Somebody get the phone out. Or you have the
I
phone.
was going to say 36.
35.
He's 35?
That's
How
my
old is
guess.
Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson's 51.
On the
30?
Wow, I thought he'd be older than that. Wow. Okay. What's the square root of 3.1 to hundredths place, Jonathan?
Positive and negative 1.76.
We okay? Corbin? Exactly. Are you daydreaming about Russell Wilson or Aaliyah playing the, I don't know what was that instrument called?
Clear.
I'm having a nightmare tonight.
I was trying to go.
Did you get that in 3rd grade?
Yeah.
trained for Mr.
The
Ryder's
reason why you
neighborhood.
can't play is not
Mr. What?
Mr. Ryder's neighborhood.
I remember after every single like song, everyone started dancing.
Okay, whoa. Liv,
Is the dog down again?
no, there's somebody running down the road. Looks like with a backpack on. Liv, what do I do? Add.
Yes.
What's negative 10 plus 10? Close. I got 0.
I actually got 0 squared.
Now, ready for square root, right? Guys, what's the square root of 0? Guys, we said, don't say, hey, here's the one mistake. Don't make this on a quiz or test. Don't say, if you're asked what the square root of 0, it comes down to this. Don't say no solution. 0 has a square root. It's 0. Okay, now, there's only one answer to this problem. So far, there's been 2 answers, right? Well, if it comes down to the square root of 0, there's only one answer. Yes? Now, this next one, be very, very careful. Go. Do it. Live long and prosper. That was Elmer Fudd. Best cartoons ever.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'll tell you, every time Predator's on, I watch where it's at. The other right. Get to the chopper! Get to the chopper! Did you see the second one ever? No, it's good. It had, what's the black gentleman? Man, he was a cop in the city. You would know. He's in Lethal Weapon. The cop. And this thing's like going on a killing spree in the city, and then the feds are after it. And it's a pretty good movie. All right. Dorian, if I may call you that, what's my first step? Wait a minute. What?
Subtract 11.
It just goes
Was that my mom's call for me? Dang it. I was hoping I'd get out of here. All right. Ethan, what do I do now?
Divide by 5.
Careful. Thank you. Everybody divide by negative 5. What's 5 divided by negative 5? X squared equal negative 1. Whoa. Stop passing notes. Jill, what do I do now? How about square root both sides? See, Bailey, what's the square root of negative 1? Huh. What?
Plus and minus 1.
You have the right to be wrong. We live in the United States of America.
China.
Positive and negative, no solution.
Guys, remember we talked about this. We can't get a square root of a negative number. Okay, so there's no solution.
I've not been there.
Right? What the heck was that?
Sounds like a
Yeah,
video.
Mary, oh, there's a,
Bailey getting excited to leave.
all right, guys, this is no solution. So we've had what? 2 answers, 1 answer, and no solution. Mr. Westfall,
Yes, sir.
you ready?
All right.
Now we're going to shift gears.
Years?
Oh, you grabbed it. Clamp.
There we go.
What's our first step here?
Parentheses for this.
Can you do anything inside the parentheses? What?
Negative X.
Negative 1.
Oh my gosh.
So you guys are you're right if you're simplifying numbers. Like if I had like 8 minus 1 squared equals something, I would do the parentheses first. But if you're solving an equation, like if I have 5y equals 20, let's do 5 times y minus 1 equals 3. As in 30. What would you do first to solve for y?
Distribute. Distribute the 5.
Doesn't that make the side more complicated? Can I get rid of the 5 first?
Like, don't you want to get rid of the parentheses?
There's nothing to do in the parentheses. Inside the please excuse my dear and Sally's to simplify a problem, right? To solve, don't you go in reverse? Are you guys confused on order of operations? What are order of operations used for? To simplify a problem. Like, for example, if I had this, I would do 8 minus 1 first, then I would multiply by 5, correct? I would do parentheses first, then that's simplifying a number. But if I'm trying to solve for something, I actually reverse the order of operations. Let's go back a step further because I don't know if we're ready for that. If I have 5y minus 3 equals 12, what would you do first? Why? I thought you guys said do order of operations. I thought you multiply before you add. No, because we're solving for a variable. You're right. I'm just picking on you.
7.
Wouldn't you add 3 first before you divide by 5? Yes? Why? Because when you solve for a variable, you reverse the order of operations. You add before you divide. You follow me? But if you're just plugging in numbers and solving, you do PEMDAS, right? But here I add and then I divide. So what do I do first here? Kind of like unpeeling layers to it, okay? What goes first? You get rid of the squared first, don't I? What gets rid of the squared first? What gets rid of a square? Square root, right? Square root both sides. What's the square root of x minus 1 squared? Just x minus 1, right? That square root cancels that square, and I'm left with x minus 1. And what's the square root of 25? Not just 5.
What's wrong?
I will-
That's all right. This one's kind of weird. What's my last step to get x by itself? Add 1. One plus 5 and 1 minus 5. So do you see there's 2 solutions? X equals 1 plus 5. X equals 1 minus 5. What's 1 plus 5? 6. And what's 1 minus 5? Negative 4. Let's see if both of these work. Okay? Let's plug it back into the original. Plug in 6. Plug in 6. What's 6 minus 1? See, now listen. I'm actually doing the order of operations now because I have a number. I'm not solving for something. I'm plugging in values. Do you see how I'm doing parentheses first now? But if you're unwrapping something, you have to work from outside in. That's what I was talking about. Now we're plugging in numbers. What's 6 minus 1? Squared. 25. What's negative 4 minus 1? Negative 5. What's negative 5 squared? Do they both work? Yeah. Okay? So be careful there. Again, we got to unwrap it from outside in. It's opening a present versus wrapping a present. All right? Wrapping a present, order of operations. Opening a present, you got to reverse what the person did to wrap it, right? So this problem is my present to you. Please unwrap it. Find out what's inside. Mary, this is your birthday present. Knowledge is one of the best presents you could ever give. What should I do first? I should not square root first. There's something to unwrap first before that.
Divide 4.
Divide by
4.
4 on both sides. X minus 3 squared equals 2.5. Oops, 2.25. Now the next step. I've unwrapped that first layer. I've gotten rid of the 4. What's next to unwrap? Square root. Let's get rid of the square, right? We'll get rid of the square. Square root both sides. X minus 3 equals plus or minus 1.5, right? And the last step to unwrap this present is to add 3 to both sides. 3 plus or minus 1.5. So we get 3 plus 1.5 and 3 minus 1.5. You should get 4.5. And what's 3 minus 1.5? Shouldn't need a calculator for this one. 3 minus 1.5. Huh? 1.5? Questions? Is that the last one? No, we got more, don't we?
Actually, this one.
Are we spending another day on this, or did you get through all of it?
I got through all
Did you really?
that. These are the same problems, just decimals. You know, all the decimals.
All right, let's do one more of these, and this is the homework you assign.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's pick one of these. Let's do letter B. What should I do first to solve for x? Matthew. Good. So we get 4x squared equals 28.
Have a good day, guys. Mary, have a happy birthday.
Next step, should I divide by 4 or should I take the square root? Good. Do you see how exponents are actually done last year because we're solving for x? Right? Do you understand now? We're unwrapping it. Going backwards. Divide by 4. x squared equals 7. Square root both sides. X equals plus or minus, what's the square root of 7? 2.65, you said? Yes? 2.65. Positive 2.65 and negative 2.65. Make sense now? All right, let's do this example of a storage container. By the way, I'm not going to solve this one, but do you agree we'd subtract 30. 4 minus 30 would be negative 26.
Yeah.
Divide by 2, you get negative 13. When you take the square root of both sides, what's the square root of negative 13? No solution. There's no number that you can multiply times itself and get negative 13. There's no number you can multiply times itself to get any negative number. Do you agree? That's when you see no solution. All right. A storage container in the shape of a rectangular prism has a height of 6 feet. Its length, bless you, its length is 2 times its width. L equals 2W. Do you agree with that? L equals 2W? The volume is 288. Find the length and the width of the container. Well, if V equals L times W times H, isn't the volume 288? Equals, what should I put in for L? 2W times width. What's the width? The width is just W, right? Times, what's the height? 6. So 2W was the length, W was the width, and 6 is the height. Okay? Well, let's solve this. 288. What's 2 times W times W times 6? What's 2 times 6? 12. What's W times W? W squared. Everybody good with that one? How should I solve for W? What should I do first? Divide by 12? So W squared equals 20? 20. 24. 12 into 1, 24 would be 12 times 2. Yep, 24. Last step, take the square root. W equals plus or minus 4.9 maybe? What is it? 4.90. What would the units be on that? I heard someone say it. Just feet, right? If I said what's the width of the box would be in feet. So what should we be careful of on this problem? Can the width be negative 4.9 feet? Guys, listen. Can the width be negative 4.9 feet? No, it's a box. So in this problem, and because it's an application, we're just going to write W equals 4.9 feet. We're not going to put the negative on this one. Why? Because it's an application. All right, there's an actual measurement. It can't be negative. All right, there's your homework for tonight.